One's a former NFL star turned esports coach.
But I was getting the stink eye from my wife. She's like, "What you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing."
And one's a dad who can't stop playing Rocket League.
These kids these days, they're like, blah, 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 blah. We're used to jump and run.
Together, they welcome you to Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge.
Welcome to Ahman Green's Gamers. I was on mute right there. Sorry. And I'm your host, Ahman Green. Hope you're doing well with yourself today. On Wednesday is the hump day, the middle of the week. So hope everyone is doing well. I know I'm doing well. So checking in on the Gamer Sounds. We are streaming out on, a lot of platforms. We're on Instagram. We're on X. We're on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn, Twitch, and the usual suspect, YouTube as well. So hope you're enjoying your day. What's up, JFK man in the house? We got a fantastic guest today, a fantastic show for everyone that's going to be tuning in. So I'm super excited. But checking in real quick from last week's show. As you see, I'm rolling solo today. Nobody's coming in hot like John and Rico usually do. I'm coming in. It's just me, and then our guest, obviously. We'll have him coming on here in a few minutes. And so welcome to this Gamers Now. Is this your first time coming in to Ahman Green's Gamers Now? This is a gamer show based out of a couple places. Started in Wisconsin. Now I'm in Nebraska. And sometimes I shoot out of Houston, Texas, because that's where I live in the summer. And in the winter time, I say spring break and Christmas break. So I'm streaming from different places. But right now, I'm in Lincoln, Nebraska. So that is the home base for now. But it will be changing soon because school is coming to an end. We have some fantastic events going on for my class, Intro to Esports. We have 5 events coming up in a couple weeks. One on May 8th, 2 on May 9th, 1 on May 3rd, that my class that I teach, all the students will be planning out. They have planned out their esports event. So we had it today, was kind of the warm-up class presentation and all that. And it was fun to see where the students are in their planning. Some have the event all the way planned out. Some have a few more details to add to it. And so we have another class on Friday for any of those small details they need to tighten up and need to hold in. They could do that. We got Smash Brothers. We have Overcooked. We have 2K tournament that's happening over here on Westo Sports Kinetic. Bay High, I believe, is one of the Smash tournament games. We have several Smash, maybe a Mario Kart floating around in there too. But last weekend, man, I had a fantastic weekend with my granddaughter. She's a 4-year-old right now, and she is all over the place. So me and her had a good time. And then also, as I'm getting older, y'all probably don't want to hear this, but I'll say I just got my pipes cleaned out. For anybody over 45, I would recommend you start paying attention to your health and advise that highly to get your pipes cleaned out, basically, when you get my age. And the interesting thing is you take this solution. It's called sodium phosphate, potassium phosphate, and magnesium phosphate. And it clears your guts out. And so I was crystal clean even before the surgery, or not the surgery. It's a procedure where you go in and they basically clean out. I'll be honest. They clean out the poop. They clean out the poop inside your body that's been accumulated in your intestines. So make sure you don't have I don't have colon or anything wrong with my colon. And so it's clear, it's clean, and I'm good to go. All thumbs up on that aspect. And so if you're 45 and up, you should be thinking about that. So it says, yeah, I'm going to go at 35. Oh, you starting early, JFK. Hey, I like it. I like being proactive, because obviously you don't want to find out later, something's going on in your body. So I'm staying ahead of the game. My mom passed away from Alzheimer's, and my dad passed away from prostate cancer, and my stepdad passed away from liver cancer. So it's all in my family. So I want to make sure I'm very knowledgeable on what's going on with myself. And so I know it's kind of like, but it's what we got to do. Don't fear it, and do not have the conversation. So with your health, you got to have it. You got to stay on top of it, and be fully aware of what's going on with your body. All right. And I'm a workout fiend. I got water here, and I got the great sports drink right there on my side here. Sly. That's all natural ingredients. Love working with it. Speaking of Sly, I'll get into the Sly read real quick and get on to our special guest of the show. So Sly, play is an essential part of life. Whether it's digital or outdoors, exploring your world is fun. Keep the good times rolling and support your play with Sly Boost, Sly Chill, or Sly Dream. Trust me, they work. Boost will get you amped up. chill. We'll put you in that. Okay, I'm this cool. Maybe play some Among Us or do some Ragnarok. Can't do no Call of Duty when you're chilling out, or Dream, and that puts you sleep real fast. So check it out. Go to drinkontheslide.com if you want to purchase any items. And so explore as it ends there. So now I'm going to bring in our special guest here. Let me get the screen ready. My man is a baller in a game called SMITE. He just told me some useful information about the game that I did not know. So I'm bringing in now a good friend of the Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge, my man, Michael Polar Bear Heiss. Hopefully I said that correctly. He just corrected me. I'm going to get corrected again. Pro SMITE player, man. How you doing, Polar Bear?
What's going on?
Did I nail that? Did I mess it up
Yeah,
again?
you got it. You got it.
Boom.
Yeah. Hope everyone's having a good day listening.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and no problem. You know, Mertz has been doing me a solid ever since I met him back during Super Bowl of this year. And he did my show, and he had other friends that done my show, and it's like, come on, do you need help with guests? I'm like, yes, I do. I'll take it, and he definitely delivered. So they're able to talk to the likes of yourself. I had Dante on last week, that is a Overwatch pro and coach over at Maryville, and we did a fantastic show last week. So I'm ready to get you in here and talk some little SMITE, talk about what you're doing as a pro, and just talk about life, So my first question that I ask all my guests to the show is basically, what is your gamer origin story? So what game was it? Who was it? Was your mom, dad, your best friend from down the street? And what game was that you started playing when you were still wet behind the ears?
So I think my very first game that I remember playing, my dad used to have like what was it, like the old like Nintendo 64, I think, when I was maybe 4 years old or something. I remember him playing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there was like a Donkey Kong racing game or something. I don't know the name of it. But it was some racing game that he loved playing, so we would all play that together. I'm the middle kid I have two brothers, one older, one younger.
Okay.
So the four of us would play that a good bit, and then I think the first game that really got me super hooked was my older brother got into World of Warcraft when it released, which was so addictive for, like, he was, I think, 9 at the time. I was like 7 or 6 or something like that. But yeah, that's definitely what started it. He and I would play a lot of Halo together. My younger brother and I would play a lot of like Mario Party, Mario Kart, those type of games. So it was just a bonding experience where our whole family we would play a bunch of different stuff together.
Okay, gotcha there. So let me make some adjustments to the audio, making sure it's low. Somebody said in the chat audio is a little bit low, so hopefully we get it up. But yeah, okay, DD Com Racing from the Average Historian. Was it that?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh man, what? So that was 2000. What you think?
Oh, that might have been 99 or 2000 or something like that. I was probably 3 or 4 years old.
Oh, okay. All right. I do remember DD. I never played it, but I do know of that game. So getting into SMITE now, some SMITE questions here. So can you tell us about your journey into being a professional SMITE gamer, basically?
Yeah, so I'll try to keep it short. I love to ramble.
Yeah, that's okay. We like rambling on this show.
I was in community college at the time, and I always did well in school, but I was kind of aimless. I just didn't know what I was passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would do is on the weekends I would just game a lot. So it was like maybe a Friday night, like 2 a.m. I was up way too late, and I was playing a ranked game, and someone on our team, it's a 5v5 game, and someone on our team had left the game, and we won the 4v5, and 2 of my teammates who were on that ranked game,
Right,
they were like, yo, we got an amateur tournament. It was called the Challenger Cup. It was the league right before or right under the pro league. You would play like a weekly tournament, basically all day Saturday. And they were like, hey, we need a sub for tomorrow. We don't have our full roster. Do you want to play with us? And I played with them, and we finished 3rd in the tournament. We lost to a team that they used to do like a relegation system. And that team that we lost to actually ended up qualifying for the pro league. And I played support in the game, and their support player, like halfway through that summer regular season, stepped down from the team. At that point, I was on a different challenger team, and we had won like every week, like 3 or 4 weeks in a row, and then they contacted me to replace him. And that guy, his name is Max, or Roar is what he goes by in Smite, and
Right.
uh, he's probably, in a funny way, it ended up being like each other's biggest rivals. Like we've played against each other for nearly a decade now, and I kind
Right.
of owe it to him because he left the team that basically picked me up.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. That's an interesting feeling right there. A guy that you wasn't, it's kind of teammates in a way and working together, but then you get put in his position. They kind of take over his position, unfortunately. So
Yeah,
that's an odd feeling, isn't it?
yeah, it is.
Yeah, I had that with myself. When I got traded to Green Bay, had a guy. He's a good friend of mine. That's one of the guys I referred to that lives in your area, and he was the starter when I got there, and I was his backup. And so he got hurt mid-season in 2000. And for me, it was always, I'm just backing him up until he comes back. But he had an MCL that kept him out a little longer than expected. And the head coach just made a decision and put me in as a starter for the rest of the year. But it was just an odd feeling for myself, knowing kind of like the old school rules, like he said. I don't like I say for traditional sports, we'll talk about that later, differences and similarities. Like, in my head, you don't lose your job off of injury. You lose your job off of competing, and if you win, you get the job starting spot. You got it. If not, you are the person backing up. So it was kind of like that eerie feeling with me every time we walked in the building. But it was something that eventually I adjusted to, and he understood the business too. And how coaches can then take stuff and make an executive decision on things, basically. So, but no, playing Smite, I've been seeing it. I started coaching esports when I was in 2020 in Lakeland, and there's a few players that started the Smite season, but they didn't finish it. I was like, man, what's going on? Where y'all at? I was like, this is a fun game. It's a game visually that you could see the characters, unlike League of Legends. You actually could see the drawings and all that stuff. So I thought that was something about the game that for me that stuck out. I was like really cool, really excited about it, but they didn't. I was like, where y'all going, man? Like, well, come on. All right. So next question here. What inspired you to pursue a career in esports? And how you said you got started just staying up all night playing Smite, but then what was some other ways or things that basically jumped in your path to be like, all right, this is something I want to do as a career?
It kind of just happened, honestly. So that summer was, I think, 2015, and I was maybe 2 years through just like general education credits with college. And I had qualified for a tournament, I think either late that summer or maybe early September, something like that. And we ended up making the finals in that tournament. So I talked to my parents about it, and I was like, yeah, I don't really know what I want my major to be. I don't know what school I want to transfer to. Maybe I give this a shot for a little bit and see where it goes. And they were a little skeptical, of course, because back then it wasn't quite as developed as it is now. But they were very supportive, so I'm very thankful to them for that. And I just kind of kept rolling with it. I kept doing well and performing well, and it seemed like something I felt really passionate about. So I kind of just kept chasing it.
Okay. Yeah. When you have that passion, you definitely gotta, I say, abide to it, because usually your gut, that's your gut telling you like, all right, this feels good. I'm having fun. And I just got to do it. And so when you get that feeling with the passion side of it, that's something I say a lot of people may ignore sometimes and not put themselves in that, I say, a feel good, better position with that. So something I do, I'm in the area, being a director of esports, coaching teams for the last 5 years now. And so as a pro, what does a typical day look like? Because I know how I run practices and do things and make sure my players get warmed up, for a scrim, or warmed up just for practice and working on strategy. And so what's some of the training and other preparation for tournaments or for your matches that you do?
So it really depends on the person's role within the team. I guess I was always in I guess like a leadership position. So I think one of the big differences between, when I was playing sports as a kid is that a lot of the strategy, the coaching, all of that type of stuff, you're not handling that as a player. You're doing
Right.
conditioning, you're, practicing whatever you're going to do on game day. And you still have to do that as a player, but I would also have to do the research of, the opponents we're going to play. So I'm watching games that they've played in previous weeks, and I'm going through what their tendencies are, trying to figure out, what we have to worry about, what we can exploit, and kind of creating. So in Smite, it's like a draft system with characters. So there's like 120 characters in the game or something like that, and you
Oh,
would
wow.
get each team gets 5 bans. So you kind of go through this pick and ban phase where each team is picking 5 and banning 5. So you're sort of figuring out the puzzle pieces of what you think they're going to do, what you want to do, and trying to have that all fit. So normally I would try to wake up probably at my like peak routine. I guess what my favorite routine was is I would
Hmm.
wake up, I'd go to the gym at like 7:30, 8 a.m. I'd come back, shower, make myself breakfast. Normally
Hmm.
practice wouldn't start until 11 a.m. or something.
Hmm.
Normally everyone would hop on a little bit before that. You'd briefly go through strategy, what you want to work on the day, what you want to try to get better at, and then you'd practice anywhere from 3 to 6 or 7 hours, like very intensely, very focused, and then normally
Right.
have a like conversation for 30 minutes to an hour after, and then kind of take a break. And if you have a match the next day, you might take a break for an hour and then come back to it at like 5 p.m. or something, finalize your game plan, and then
Right.
do it over again.
Right. Yeah. You got to have that system of, or I say the process or a
Yeah.
routine for every game, or for every time you play a game for practice. You start it young, and hopefully, if you progress the right way, it helps you stay on top of your game. Obviously, drinking, like you said, you got that big jug of water there. I got my boom right here, so it keeps that your body functioning, the brain functioning, thinking a little clearer. And I think that's where young esports players, college, high school level, they're just getting that understanding of, oh, you got to have a process. You got to have your routine.
Yeah.
Because I remember asking one of my earlier team players where I was at Lakeland University. It was a D3 school in Wisconsin that I coached at. And I remember I brought up practice. Like, we're going to practice. We're going to have training camp. And they were like, we're going to have practice? Like, why do we practice? I was like, are you messing with me? Are you dead serious? They was like, no, we're not messing with. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I had to explain to him, kind of like yourself, like what the whole breakdown of it. And I was like, I was just caught me off guard. I was like, really?
It's
You like
such
you didn't
a
think?
it's such a funny difference because like if you have that background where maybe you played some sort of recreational sports at least as a kid,
Yeah,
you're used to the idea of practicing and working with your teammates to try to get better before games. But when you're just playing video games, it's like you're just sitting in your room playing Call of Duty or whatever after school, and to
right.
you, like, that's your practice, and you don't really think of the team atmosphere of it or the routine or how to take it seriously and take it to the next level.
Yeah, because when you're just getting into it, it's just more like, okay, you just want to play games and
Yeah.
don't realize, like, it's just, you got to do more than that. If you're going to be, playing on a team that is going to be traveling the world or playing online and gets other countries, then that's a whole nother level up of what you got to do to prepare, to play against those type of players. Because those players, as we know, and as you know, Mert sent me some I think one clip of you or a competition event. And so it's just, it's a whole nother level when you get in live feed, out to everybody, and it's in person. The
Yeah.
strategy talk, all the band stuff you have conversation with your teammates prior to the match. It gets obviously serious and intense because now with money on the line and time is on the line to make sure you get the victory there. So can you let me see here? What question I'm gonna go with? So we're gonna get into the game a little bit here. All right. So Smite, I know, like you mentioned, 120 plus characters. So Smite has a diverse roster of gods, and unique utility. So how do you approach, I say, learning and mastering different gods to adapt to the various team comps that you have for and your strategies as well playing in the game?
Man, there's a lot. Honestly, it just takes time. I
Hmm.
think it's really hard because to an extent you have the game developer kind of push that a little bit, right? They might
Yep.
balance out certain characters, make certain items or characters or whatever stronger or weaker. So every couple weeks, every month, you have to adjust with the game as it changes, which honestly is a really fun feeling because it keeps it fresh. But
Right.
the other part of that is you kind of have to, that's kind of where you have to play a lot outside of regulated team play, excuse me.
Hmm.
So a lot of it will be messing with things. So let's say there's a new character that comes out and I want to figure out what they're good at, what they're bad at. You just
Hmm.
want to play ranked over and over and figure out certain matchups, certain, things that feel good against it. And when you bring that into team play, I think different players have very distinct styles. I think it's one of the things that I really like about the MOBA genre in
Yeah.
general is that you have different players who just have their own strengths and weaknesses. And I think so. For example, let's say there's like a mage who just does a ton of damage, and you have in mid lane would be the lane that would most commonly play the mage characters. If you have a player who's extremely accurate, they don't miss a lot of abilities, they're very good at playing very disciplined, they don't give the
Hmm.
other team a lot of opportunities, and you're comfortable playing for a character like that where you can kind of scale late into the game and then put them in a spot to carry you. Other teams, they have super aggressive leaning players who, if you give them an inch, they take a mile sort of thing, and you can kind of exploit early leads. So it really just depends. Um, I know that's not the greatest answer, but yeah, it just takes
No,
time.
no, it makes sense. I mean, it's a process. So time is a part of a process. Getting the reps in, getting experiences from mistakes that are made. As you go on to play with said character. Because with 129, and you got many to choose from, you just obviously got to find that one that fits you, fits your style of gameplay, in the MOBA. Because that, if you don't have that one that fits perfectly, or I say that doesn't fit at all, then you got to say something or be like, you know what, I got to try somebody else. Because if not, that's gonna, I think, probably hamper how good you are in a game like Smite.
Yeah, and you kind of got to find stuff that overlaps a little bit. So there might be, you know, two, three, maybe up to like 6 or 7 characters that all have a similar style. So, if you have an identity as a team, something that you can stick with and something that you're good at, you can kind of take all the characters that fit within that and then add little wrinkles to it, add little like
Hmm.
nuances of, maybe with this character we're playing the same style, but it's better early game than this other character. So maybe that lets us push a lead in a way that we're not normally used to doing it.
Right.
And I think that's really when you can get into the weeds of it and really push yourself and learn a lot about, exactly what you're trying to do as a team.
Okay. Gotcha. So for the chat and people listening, I know the volume might be a little low, but I'm working on it the best I can. Just stick with us. So Mike, with the emails we exchanged, and you brought up something I love to do is answer questions. So you wanted to ask me a few questions about what I see from a traditional sport aspect versus esports, and similarities and differences. So shoot away if you got something ready to go.
Yeah, is the audio any better? Can you tell? Am I any
Yeah,
louder at all?
like for you, I hear you perfect. I think
Oh,
for
okay,
the
okay.
yeah for the audience, I'm not sure. So
Gotcha.
just
Just want to
just
make
bear
sure.
just bear with us, everyone. We're working our best here, but for me and Mike, I got you crystal clear, and I think you hear me good too.
Yeah.
So all right. So what's some of your questions, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, the main one is definitely just your experiences in how different the traditional sports, especially at the professional level, is
Hmm.
versus, what you've seen and what you're kind of doing in esports and just, I guess, culturally, just maybe work ethic, all of those sort of things, how you see those.
I say culturally, I'll start there first. I say in the esports space, you got, because I see a EU United jersey behind you. I
Hmm.
met, that was one of the first orgs I came in contact with. I did a Gears of War tournament in New York at the Microsoft's store, and in the above studio that was like it was like a secret, but everybody knew about it. It was interesting, but meeting that team and just seeing like there was similar cultures, right? Having everybody on the same page, communication and synergy, all that was kind of in line. But what I saw a little different, where you had guys like not being punctual, like they were showing up late. I mean, they have a professional event and they're like 3 hours late to call time to the stage, and it's like that would not go down, in my world. And so, not a lot of it. That was the only team I seen do that. I've been at a few events from Gears of War to Halo to Madden to Call of Duty. So I seen it less, which is good. I say the one thing that got me into pursuing a career in esports and me becoming a director and head coach just was like, I say not happened, but it kind of this where it went. I watched a pro team play for Halo during the X Games, and it was Halo tournament that they were doing, and I saw the team. Or actually, I can't remember the team name, but I remember the player. It was a player by the name of Lethal, and he's
Hmm.
still currently playing today.
Like
And
as a beast.
yeah, he's very good, but he had a moment, where he got a little frustrated between the IGL of the team, and They lost the match against whoever they were competing with, and he jumped rosters. He went to play for the other team. He was so mad at his coaches or teammates, or I don't know who he was mad at, but he was mad. And I just said to myself, there's opportunity. Like, I could go coach, because I understand, obviously, one, that cannot go down. Like, when I was playing ball, and as for example, playing against our rival, the Bears, I can't go, hey, coach, I'm going to go play for the Bears now because you didn't give me the ball enough in the first half, or the offensive line is not blocking for me. Like, no, bro, you get cut right on the spot. So to me, that was kind of like a sign of, I think I could fit in that space, because I've coached high school. At that time, I was coaching high school sports. And a few years later, after that moment, that was 2016 and 2018, I volunteered at my first high school to coach Overwatch when it first came out. And so I was like, all right, I got my foot in the door. I let people know I was, people were finding out that I was coaching at the high school level. Then a few years later in 2020, that's when I got hired at Lakeland, which is a part in Wisconsin, where I was at in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So that was a part of it. I was seeing that there was just needed to be a little push of more, I say, culture building, and really how that's the emphasis in the beginning. Like, you have to make sure you got a good culture for your esports org or company, because if you don't have that culture laid down, and the rules, the guidelines, or the team norms, as we call them, I do that now with my classroom when I teach in class, and then also with the esports, Nebraska esports too. We're slowly going through that process, as we speak, between getting our facility. Then once that facility's up and running, that's when that comes in the line, because that's like the glue for the team. At the end of the day, all the rules, all the team norms, when we have a situation where it's pushing somebody's character, or somebody shows up late, or somebody's not doing as we are asking them to do as a team player, then it's like, these are the guidelines, man. We all agree to that. Hey, we got to show up on time. We got to warm up this amount of time, or we're going to do some type of warm up to get ourselves ready to play. And then we're going to meet, we're going to talk, we're going to recover, we're going to review the VOD and all that stuff. And we're going to do it as a team. So if somebody's off something, the players, not even me as a coach, the players would do the governing, and making sure players are up to par, and making sure they are doing their side of the job, their job for being on the team.
That's the best, when people really buy into it. And I think everyone feels the impact of that sort of thing. Like, when you're holding each other accountable, at first, I think if you're not used to that environment, it can kind of rub people the wrong way, and then get defensive. But
yeah,
I'm sure you've experienced it in both sides of it. It's like, at the end of the day, you're a team. Like, you want each other to do the best you can, because you want to win as a team. You're looking out to make each and every one of you better. So I feel like when people kind of put their pride away and they buy into that system, it kind of brings everyone together in a really awesome way.
Yeah, and buy-in is the biggest thing. You get the buy-in from the players to the players to the coach, and the coach to the players, then you're on a good path.
Yeah.
Yep. So what you got? Anything else?
I mean, that was definitely the main one. I'm also kind of a small, silly one a little bit, because you mentioned before we started, you mentioned the draft. Is it hard to root for teams? Like, do you just root for every team you played for? Or how's that work?
Ooh, that's a good question. So what I've experienced and what I've started doing recently, I started, since I've been out since 2009, so like 15 years I've been out of the game. And so at first I would root for the team that I just ended with, which was the Packers, and the team I played with most of my career. But then now, where I cover it, I cover games now. I cover NFL games, I cover college football, and so I got to be knowledgeable of all the teams. And so getting to relearn the teams, I kind of, for one, have to be unbiased. I can't be liking this team over that team because I played there or what have you. Do I have a little love for those teams I play for? Yes, I do have a little love for them, because for one, the Seahawks, they got me in the league. Green Bay gave me my opportunity, and Texans was a situation where I learned from that experience, because it was probably my worst experience as a professional athlete. I was button head with the coaches, button head with some of my teammates, and like we were just talking, that synergy wasn't there, and so it was more of a learning experience. But now I look back at it, I said, those learning experiences that didn't taste good in my mouth, they made me a better person today, because now I learned from them. I took what I needed to take from that time in Houston to say, okay, what could I take from that situation to make me better? what can I focus on instead of saying everybody sucked. The city, the people, the coaches, instead of blaming, it's like, hold on, what can I learn from this that I can then use for myself or use for someone else in my life to say, hey man, I was in this situation. I had to deal with it. I couldn't go nowhere. I couldn't quit the team. I had to roll with the punches, which I did. I rolled with the punches. Didn't like it, but I had to basically suck it up and be a professional. And so so now when I watch teams, I have a little love for everybody because it brought me something, right? Between financial gain, between mental strength, between just learning how to be a more professional. And that's what I got out of Seattle coming into the league. I just turned 21. And so I'm still young, but watching the professionals that were there, some guys doing good things that I learned from, some guys doing things that not so good. And so I learned from that too, to use during my game. And then when I got to Green Bay, it was similar to like my situation here at Nebraska when I played college football, where we had a team, we won 2 championships where we were locked in and everybody was on the same page. So I got to Green Bay, it was almost the same situation where we were all on the same page. We were always going to the playoffs for 4 or 5 years in a row. And from the offensive line, defensive line, myself, the quarterbacks, the receiver, was that group of guys that even after the game, a lot of us hung out together. We would hang out, get to know one another, our wives, our girlfriends, our kids, stuff like that. And then that's kind of was our gel, because it was among players. And then the coaches did their job, got us ready to play with a game plan and all that stuff.
Yeah, I feel like that's so important when you're like close enough with your teammates that you want to spend time with them outside of, team events. That's the best feeling ever. I feel like it also in a weird way like humanizes people. Like if they make a mistake, you're not like, oh man, screw this guy, he doesn't know what he's doing. You'd like have a little bit of sympathy for him and you like pull him along with you, even if they're having a bad day or a bad night, whatever it is.
Yep. And so we could have those conversations, tough ones and easy ones, stuff like that. So I was the one always good at Madden.
So you're always cooking them on Madden.
Yeah, that and Halo. That's my shooter. That's my shooter.
Halo. What do you still play Halo at all?
Yeah, I do Infinite online multiplayer. Nice. I do all the little. Now they got the Grunk apocalypse going on. Season, I forgot what season it is, but kitty cat. You got a cat right there.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all good. Hey, we love cats on this show. Like every time I do the best thing on social media, I was almost going to do it too. It's always cat and dog videos that I find are hilarious. And so I don't think I have a cat video this week, but in previous weeks, I've shown a ton of cat videos that I grew up with 2 cats. One was named Whiskers. Cool. One was named Buttons. Oh, that's Whiskers. Cool. Yeah, Whiskers and they weren't together. It was just separate times. It was, I had Whiskers first, and he was an alley cat that my mom let me bring in, but then we got him neutered and everything. And we had him for about almost a year and a half. Then he started having I think he had like kidney issues because he was peeing everywhere or something like that, or he was putting his mark down, as they call it, or something like that. And he was all black cat. And I was like, dang, he's like, the vet said, I think he's getting sick and all that. So I was like, no, kitty cat getting sick. Oh, because that was a sign of him not having good health. And then Buttons came along. So he passed. So Whiskers passed away, and then Buttons came into the picture. And he was a friend of my neighborhood's cat, where his mom said, you got to get rid of the cat. And I was like, I'll take him. I was like, cool. Funny. Yep. We took him. But Buttons, man, he was off the chain. So Buttons come in hot.
Yeah, I got I'm sorry, keep going.
Just let me say this and then I'll be done, and I would like to hear about your cat. So Buttons, when I say he came in hot, so I had summer camp and I grew up in Los Angeles. So we're going to the mountains for summer camp for a week. And I didn't realize my mom and dad, that's your cat. I was like 10, 11, 12 years old. She's like,
you gotta take care of it.
You got to figure out what you're going to do. I'm like, I'm going to summer camp. I'm not going to be home. I said, so can you feed it? I'll feed him, but that's it. I'm like, you're not going to play with him. You're not going to interact. He needs that. Cats need interaction, Mom. No, that's your cat. We'll feed him and we'll give him water. That's it. I'm like, so I come back home. My room is destroyed. You see how I got stuff like I got in here, posters ripped off the wall. He was pissed. Whisker was pissed. Like, bro, you going to leave me out here with these people? All they doing is feeding me. They're not playing with me. They're not talking to me. I'm like, cats, you got to give them a tiss. I said, Mom, you can't. you got next time we do this, you gotta help me out, do something. So who's your cat there? What's his name or what's their name?
This guy's name is Echo. I have another one whose name is Greg. I didn't name them, but I thought they were cool names, so I kept it.
That's an awesome name. When you do that with,
I had a friend who was a veterinary assistant, and she was in an apartment complex, and like one of her neighbors had a cat that I guess wasn't, fixed or whatever. And one day she's driving home for work and she looks outside of like a sewer grate and there's like 4 little kittens. So she took them all in and got them all like tested, got their blood work done. They were all healthy. So I have 2, and then one of my old teammates took the other 2. So we just have the 4 cats together.
Gotcha. Nice. Yeah, cats are hilarious. Even though a lot of people are allergic to them because of their dander.
I am allergic to them,
right?
But it works out, yeah.
Yeah, you work it out here. So since you started to ask a question, I know I had JF Cake in the chat here said he had a question here for me, and he said, "So what's my process for recruiting players from high school?" So JF Cake, you know me well. So I would say the process is just really no different than if I was recruiting a football, baseball, basketball player. So I'll reach out to the high school if they didn't reach out to me already, and I find the coach and talk to him. I find the player, connect with the player to say, "Hey, I got your message, but this is how it works. I got to find out what your grades are. I got to find out what your SAT, ACT score is, and to say this to make sure that you're up to par with going into college. GPA, I'm looking at a 3.0 or higher. Then I get to the gaming, like what's your rank, what game you play, stuff like that. So then it is something. It's a neighborhood that everybody's been in once I get to the gaming side of it. But the first part of esports, another similarity or difference, Mike, was something that, when I say, hey, you got to have a 3.0, some of the kids were like, what? Like, oh man. I'm like, yeah, this is college sports. This is varsity sports at the college level. You got to have your grades because the school is trying to have a certain rate of kids graduating, and they want to give you a fair shot. And if you're not there, your GPA is low, they don't want to put you in a situation you can't handle. So it's part of the college making sure that when our students come in, they know what to expect to be an athlete, and a student all at the same time. Something I had to go through as an athlete. So that conversation years ago was an interesting conversation. The parents were like, awesome. Oh man, I love to hear this, and it's not just what the whole stigma was years ago. It's changed a lot. I mean, you said it right in your game prep. You wake up in the morning, you go to the gym, you work out, and you do what you got to do. You got your water bottle. So it's a change there. But for recruiting purposes, I make sure once I get connected with that player, I have a conversation with the parents next to see how, that son or daughter is at home. If they have siblings, if they interact with those siblings, do they get along? Or don't they get along? And what tournaments that they played in, if it's online tournaments, if it's in-person tournaments, because you can ask Mike, it's a big difference from online to in-person.
Totally different.
Right. So what was that first one like for you? Wasn't on my list of questions, but this question popping up now when you did that in-person event.
It was definitely nerve-wracking at first. I think even before like fans or anything came in, just meeting the players was kind of a weird experience because you're used to, we were playing our regular season matches on the online at the time,
right?
Which would change a little later into my career. But yeah, I didn't really. It was like a first day at school sort of feeling. Like I don't know anybody. I don't know if I fit in. Well, once I started playing, I just kind of got in the zone, and I think maybe my first tournament or two, I felt a little nervous, but it kind of helped because then when I got to the point where I'm competing for world championships, I felt super comfortable. I'm like, okay, I've been here. I understand how this feels. And then you kind of learn how to, honestly, the biggest thing about, I love playing in front of a crowd because you just feel the energy from it. Like you just get to ride that momentum. That's my favorite thing by far.
Nice. Yeah, I kind of agree with you there because even though I tuned the crowd out when I was playing, but I still used it at the same time. Like when especially it was a good moment. Like our defense just made a big play. Now the crowd's hyped up. I'm hyped up. Let's go out there and make a bigger play. Now we got the ball back. Let's go. So using that to your advantage as well. And then also you know how to use it like on the road, right? I don't esports. You don't really know.
I was gonna say, I bet the road feeling. I would personally. I would love the feeling of shutting up another team's home crowd. It's got to be so satisfying.
We share that. So Chicago Bears on the road, my Minnesota Vikings,
Hmm.
Detroit Lions, Kansas City Chiefs, 49ers. Oh, so when I was like, I love it. Boo me all you want. You know what? Do it. Get louder. Because we about to kill your team right now. That's the
Yeah, I
job,
love
you
that.
know. I was like, so I was like that. I was like, I'm super excited. They're booing us. Oh yeah, I love being the villain right now. Let's go. You know, let's do that.
Can I want to add something to the last question, if
Yeah.
you don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm a
Go
little
right ahead.
curious, like when you're speaking to a high school player,
Hmm.
maybe it's hard to put like a number to it, but what would you say is the split between how much you care about their talents as a player versus all of the other things you were mentioning, being a good person, people like being around them, they're responsible, all of those sort of things.
I'll probably say I would rather have a player, regardless of how good they are, I'd rather them have be a better person.
Yeah.
Because if they're not okay, they're probably most there would be most that are better people than are Overwatch, top 500, top 200, or Call of Duty, whatever, high SMITE players, high players. But I would rather them be a better person because then whatever their game is, they're going to tune in and be coachable.
Yeah.
Sometimes the really good players are really hard to connect to because they're like, especially in esports, it's tough. Especially in esports, it gets tough where they play at a high level. They've been doing it their whole time, childhood or whatever, up until 18, 19, 20 years old, and nothing's going to change. So it's going to be a hard ask to be say, hey, I'm your coach. I know this stuff about teamwork, about the game a little bit. You know more than me, but I can help your game get better by adding these anecdotes in for yourself. So that's where it gets a little rough sometimes. And having that player, but I would rather, like I said in the beginning, I'd rather have a player that's a good person, that listens, that understands, and is coachable. Because then that's a person eventually they're gonna have buy-in, and they're gonna have basically be an extra extension of myself as a coach because they're gonna help the other players get to understand how what the buy-in is like. So that's a good question there. Very good
That makes a lot
question.
of sense. Thank you.
Yep. I got one more question from JF Cake. He said, I feel like there should be a ranking system, but how do esports coaches recruit? Well, I know is the ranking system. Like every game, right, has the ranking system. So that's actually an easy tool that we can use as coaches. So you have in Smite, there's a ranking system, right?
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, players because all the stats that are out there for the game. There's aggression, there's damage, there's healing, support, and other things and details that you have for finding out how good a Smite player is. So now I'll just have to do my homework to find out, what this player needs to look like or what they need to look like on film in between their gameplay and all that to make. And then if I could get audio and listen to how they talk on the mic in their headsets to their teammates, call outs, how quick they get the call out at, those are the little things I'd listen for because if you have somebody that is somebody that's good, they're concise, they're clear when they talk, they repeat it several times, that's who I want. But if somebody maybe is quiet and they're masking in their anger that they just died and they're not saying nothing, and I'm like, oh, we gotta work on that. And you're turning your head, Mike. You know what I'm talking about.
I was making sure he wasn't knocking something over, but
Oh,
yeah,
the cat,
yeah, yeah,
right.
no, all the time, all the
Yeah.
time.
So those are big, huge things as coaches that we got to find out because we're building these teams and we want to make sure that the best these really good players get mixed in with some really good players, and then everybody understands what their job is to work as a team to get better. All right, we got a few more questions here to wrap up. Great talk, man. Thanks for answering the questions,
Yeah, thank you
helping
for having
out.
me on. It's been fun.
Yeah, helping young gamers out there that are watching and tuning in. And real quick to reset, we got my man PolarBearMike here, pro SMITE player, asking conversation here on the Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge, and we got a few more seconds coming at you here to wrap up the show, but got a few more questions here for Mike as well. So it says here, so what you talked about, you kind of hit on it a little bit, some of the things you may do. So what is something outside of SMITE that's your hobbies, your interests, or how do you unwind and relax when you're not competing or practicing, preparing for a SMITE tournament?
So team wise, I think it was 2019. They moved the online league to we're all playing in person and we're all
Mm-hmm.
local with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So for the first couple years of that, we were living in a team house. So I was with all of my teammates. We'd
Right.
share, so we would, do whatever together. We'd go to the gym together. We would cook together. We'd go out and watch a movie, do anything. Sometimes we would just stay in and watch movies. If it was selfishly, a lot of it would be, I think something with gaming, and you could probably speak to this a little bit, is that it kind of lends itself to an unhealthy lifestyle, or you can really easily develop unhealthy habits with that if you're
Mm-hmm.
not being mindful about trying to get outside, take a walk, try to go to the gym, do something. So that was really my
Yeah.
main focus. If it was just myself and I'm just doing my own thing, I would try to take a walk. I would try to go to the gym, lift for a little bit. Um, Even just getting outside for the sake of getting outside or hanging out with friends. Those were really my main hobbies for the most part, was
Oh,
mostly fitness stuff, taking a hike, another good one.
yeah. It was something like one of my coaches said, Mike McCarthy, my second coach in Green Bay, came in 2006. And like for the first 2 years, or for those years I had him, our bye week would come up and he's like, hey, y'all get away from the game. He said, just get away, because we've been grinding. It's week 8, it's week 9, it's week 10. And we've been so focused on get back to your family, go do something you love to do, go play around the golf, go fishing, do something. Because then you could reset yourself. Say if you're having a bad start of your season, then come back in and you can refresh it. And then you're in a different mindset. And then you maybe could get back on where you were as that player. So I made sure, I was like, I heard that in college too. So I would do that. So I learned, that's why this was my place, right? Playing this, playing video games, being, I wasn't obviously casting or I wasn't streaming at that time, but my thing was playing video games. Guys would go hunt, guys would go fish, which I like fishing. I like golfing on a good day if the weather's great. But RPG, sports games, shooters, and now all the games I coach, that's where I'd be like, oh, I'll take give me a whole 24 hours. I will play every genre of game that I could possibly play. That's where I'm at. So then I'll be like, oh, I feel good. I'm in my wheelhouse now. I filled my well of things and I feel better. Okay, now let's go kick some butt. Let's go play some serious Madden now and win some money or something like that.
It's kind of awesome that on the other end of it, that your like relaxing times are kind of like, for me it was fitness stuff, for you it was like, give your body a rest and play games. I
Yeah,
find it funny that just competitive people, they just love doing something competitive almost no matter what. Like even if you're competitive with yourself, like for me lifting
100%.
was pushing myself further, and I just love that trait.
Yeah, and then the workout thing too. So now, since I'm been out the game, obviously I'm not playing football, for 6 months of the year. So I'm in the weight room early. As soon as I wake up, me and my wife, I'm trying to get on the same time zone as her, or time, because she likes to work in the evening, like 5 to 8, 9 o'clock, and I wake up. As soon as I wake up, I'm in the gym. It's at
Mhm.
7 a.m. or 8 a.m. and she's not an early riser. I'm like, dang it, we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna
That's
figure
how my
out the
teammates were, man. It's so hard because they were like, "Oh, come to the gym with us. Come to the gym." I'm like, dude, it's like 7 p.m. I'm tired. I'm ready for bed.
right. He's like, so if we get on that, we're gonna get on that same clock there. So all right, last question here. Good question here. So I know you got games coming up and stuff coming around in terms of that. And you mentioned before we started the stream, you could let everybody know that what Smite is doing. So what's some new things for yourself coming up in the next 6 months to a year or so from now?
Yeah, so for me, Smite has been the game publisher Hi-Rez. They've been making Smite 2, so they've been doing some friends and family tests that I've gotten to be a part of. I can't say too much because I'm under NDA and all,
Of
but
course. That's
I'm
all.
really
Yeah.
I'm really excited for that. They're doing a lot of just updating it. I think they were on the original game was on Unreal Engine 3, and now they're
Mm.
going all the way to 5. So it's just a huge upgrade. Like they are able to work on things quicker. They're able to make so many things better. So I'm really excited for that. For me, it's been I'm figuring out like a move and just figuring out other stuff. It's kind of interesting to hear you talk about it because something for like post playing career is
Hmm.
something that I've been trying to figure out, and coaching has always been something that I've been very interested in. I just love that feeling of getting
Yep.
people on the same page, helping them achieve their goals. So yeah, it's been that. I've been doing a little bit of streaming in the meantime here and there, especially when I
Hmm.
can show Smite too. So yeah, it's really just a lot of that type of stuff.
Okay, and yeah, if you have any thoughts about that, you got my email. Hit me up. I understand that process too,
I
because
appreciate it.
yeah, you're welcome. I was in that same mindset. I was getting close to the end of my career, and we as being a physical sport, with your age and how your body's working, that okay, it's coming to an end. It's just a realization. Some guys don't want to admit it. I'm like, you gotta like hug it. It's Everybody's gonna stop playing football unless you made of antimanium or vibranium, which none of those metals are real. Well, we don't know yet. Until that time, you gotta know that football, baseball, basketball. I say probably football, basketball, are the most super physical sports out of those three, and then rugby too, if you play that.
Oh yeah.
Um, you're not gonna play forever. I say one
Father
thing you
time's
can do.
undefeated.
What's that?
I just said Father Time's undefeated.
100%. You said it correctly. So yeah, get yourself ready for that future. And so I'm glad you're doing that too for yourself. But you can obviously still compete, but you'll be able to coach, you could cast, all that. That's one difference. We're talking about similarities and differences from traditional sports and esports. A difference with esports is like you could play a lot longer than you probably think you play. Because for some of the players I've met, I remember I was at PAX West in 2016 and I'm playing Halo with a whole bunch of Halo pros and I'm getting my butt kicked, but I'm having fun. And one retrograde, I think it was retrograde, he says to me, I'm like, how old are you? I'm like, oh, at that time I was like, oh, I'm 39. He's like, oh my God, you're so old. I'm like, I'm not even 40 yet, man. Like, how are you? He's like, I'm 26. He was like 26, 27. I'm like, and you feeling old at 26, 27? I'm like, bro, I'm feeling great right now at 39, man.
Do you keep up with Counter Strike at all?
No, not a whole lot. I know of obviously of the game. I know
Have you ever heard of a guy named Pasha Biceps? Do you know who that is?
Pasha Biceps.
It's this guy. I
No.
think I wouldn't be surprised if he's close to 40, but I think maybe he just recently retired, but he was because everyone's like, oh, you lose your reaction time when you get older
Yeah.
and you can't play. And he played well into his 30s. He was a really, really good player.
Right.
I think he like took like I don't know what it's called, but it was like a bike on a raft. And I think he biked like across the ocean to go to the last Counter-Strike major. But it was kind of funny because it was like the marriage between those worlds of like fitness and gaming.
Right.
He was like an old like pro player who everyone says like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're too old. And it was just really cool.
What ocean? The
I
Pacific,
think
Atlantic?
it's in like a sea or something. I don't know. I don't know
Oh
if
my God.
I'm
I have to
looking.
check that out. Yeah, you got to find that for me. So as you look that up, I'm gonna get on to one of our next segments of the show here. Let me get ready for this.
The
Pull that
Baltic
down.
Sea.
Oh, okay. I can see
Yeah.
him. Wow. It's still big, but it's not
Yeah,
Atlantic
not
Ocean.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not the Pacific or Atlantic. I'm like, man,
Yeah, that would
I'm
be
glad he survived. He should get a medal for that, man. So, all right, let me get ready for the next segment here on the show. We got quick hidden news bites for you. Here is the intro. Ah, I love doing that. Kung Fu. That's my second coming right there. All right, going into my quick hidden news, but I got a fun story for all y'all, especially my age, being old, 47. Go back to 1997. We got the X-Men, Xbox, and controller. Found this article on Kotaku.com. You can go there and read and get more of the details. So the Xbox, unfortunately, is not available. So it is available to win in a contest. I believe the controller you may buy, but you got to read the article, see the details on that. But when I saw this, I'm like, oh man. I was like, X-Men 97, got Wolverine's yellow suit. That's what the controller is after him in that suit. And obviously there's previews of Deadpool 3 with Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman posing up as what they're giving characters Wolverine and Deadpool who always fight. But the Xbox, I love it. I'm like, look at all the little comic books. You got the Sentinels on it, Jimboree. Oh, this is so fun. So Microsoft and Marvel has teamed up for this little matchup to create an X-Men themed Xbox console that looks awesome and comes with the Wolverine inspired controller like I mentioned. And so it was revealed just a few days ago, actually just yesterday, and the new Xbox is wrapped in a comic book art based of the new Disney series that's been streaming on Disney Plus, X-Men 1997. New episode. So Has the same artwork, same characters, new storyline, just so y'all know. But a little continuation of what was going on back in the 90s for the X-Men series that was on Fox and Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, or I think after school time. Well, I was in college then, so I could watch it anytime. I didn't have mom and dad say, hey, you got to do your homework. I didn't have to worry about that. So I'm super excited. Were you an X-Men fan?
I wasn't. My younger brother loves all of this type of stuff. I got to show him this. He probably is going to want to buy it. He loves this.
Yeah, see, I'm a controller freak. If you can see behind me how many controllers I got, controllers that don't work still, and I still got them. Like, put them on the shelf. I was like, I'm gonna use them as decor. Like, some of the ones that don't work, I'm gonna start putting them around the house. It's gonna drive my wife nuts, but I gotta keep the morale going in the house there. So the show, as it says in the article, the show has received rave reviews. Of course, it's the 90s. We did everything right in the 90s. I don't know, I'm just being silly right there. Critics and fans for staying true to the original source material while expanding upon with new characters and storylines ripped out of the comic books. Bam, that's the part you love right there. And now you have the chance to win an Xbox covered in the artwork inspired by the show of the X-Men comics from the 90s. And it got a couple posts here. So you had to retweet this post, the hashtag. The hashtag Xbox 97 sweepstakes is how you get yourself in there. So of course I did that yesterday. So go do it if you're a fan, because you don't want to miss out. I know I'm not. If I could get that Xbox, I'll be so happy. My wife be like, another one? Really? You got another one of these things? Why don't you have one upstairs? Like, yeah. Why you need another one? I just have to. It has Wolverine on it. That's why. And she gets it. She's a comic book girl too, so she knows. You're into any comics, Mike?
No, not really. Actually, I read a few like Star Wars comics. I used to be into that type of stuff. My younger brother and I, when we were in like middle school or something, I used to love those.
Nice. I know. Have you got into any other Star Wars series stuff that keep going, like a Mandalorian and Obi-Wan Kenobi?
I watched everything. I think I gotta watch Kenobi. I think that's the only one I haven't seen.
Nice.
On that.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, they're doing it good. You gotta check it out. The Mandalorian, all that, and now that
was awesome. I loved that.
They just did Ahsoka earlier this year, and they have Acolyte coming out this summer. So I'm super excited about that. So, as I read on, it says if Xbox randomly picks your retweet, you will win the custom Xbox Series X console covered with the Marvel artwork, a non-custom costume controller, that is included with the Xbox, and a second custom controller inspired by Wolverine as seen in the X-Men 97 series and the old series. So it says, according to the rule contest, you need to make sure your account isn't protected or private to win, and don't retweet official posts with anything offensive or bad on it, so you can avoid out your injury if you go in there being toxic. In other words, don't do that. Be nice. Also, X-Men have themed Xbox that might be very iconic in a few years based on reported Sony and Insomniac leaks that suggest that the superhero team will be on a PlayStation exclusive franchise in the future. So obviously we know that is Spider-Man. Ooh. I did get the Spider-Man PlayStation, Mike, last year.
It's awesome.
We got moved to Houston from Wisconsin. I went to the Best Buy because I had all my stuff here. I'm in Nebraska teaching and coaching. And I found it online. I said, babe, it might get shipped to the house. If not, I got to go pick it up. And so I had to pick it up. And she was like, really? I was like, she's like, you're not even a Spider-Man fan. You Batman. See, I'm a Batman dude, as you can see. Other way. Go no other way. Whatever. You see the guy. He's right behind me. That's Black Panther, and then Batman's on the other side. But she's like, you're not even Spider-Man. That's our son. I'm like, hey, it was on the PlayStation though, so they had me. The controller is dope too. I was like, I can't pass out with that. So you go over to Kotaku, check it out. It is a crazy awesome little thing there. Control. You got any things that you're addicted to in terms of gaming?
I went through collecting. It was funny you mentioned controllers. I went through collecting different like mice for a little bit. But
Mm.
it's so hard to keep up with, man. They are making it feels like
Yes.
every year there's just a million ones that are so cool, and they just keep getting better and better.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, controllers is my this danger spot. I'm like, what? Another one? I'm like, oh my god, this is so cool. It's so cool. And my wife is like, really? You're like grown. You shouldn't be doing this. I'm like, hey, I can afford to do this. They're not expensive. They're not expensive at all. So we're good to go. All right, head over to our next segment here. The best thing I've seen on social media. So let me kind of got set up there. And here we go.
You're so dumb.
Got him! Ain't nobody got time for that.
All right. Best thing I've seen on social media is a game I mentioned earlier, Halo. 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them. I like all of them, Mike. I don't know about you, Polar Bear, but I like them all. And I saw this.
3, 4 was my when I was still in high school and stuff. I was grinding them. I loved those games.
Gotcha. Let me see here. See if it hopefully. So here we go. Oh no, I got this. Ooh, gotta stop that. So I couldn't. So I won't be able to hear it, but you can see it. It's a video. Where is it? Is it gonna run? Is it running? There we go. I wish you could hear it, but the volume on the Instagram, since I'm going on Instagram live, it doubles back, so you get the feedback. So I'm not gonna do that, but it's a nice little cool video. Talking about if you remember this, then you're older than the Prophet of Mercy. I guess I'm older than the Prophet of Mercy because I remember this. Of Halo 2 series game when it dropped out. When it came out back in 2002, I believe. 2000 was the first Halo. Combat Evolved. And then after that, and then Halo 3, and then was actually Halo 3 was 2007. I remember that in particular. When I saw this on Instagram, I was like, oh, here we go. It's video game. It's the game I love to shoot people and get my headshot. Now I'm good at headshots now. It took me a while of practicing and training. Like you said, hitting my training time. And now I can hit shots all day, every day. No scope too.
I don't know if we even had like an internet connection online. I think we just
Okay, your mic is a little scratchy there. I don't know what's going on with it, but we heard you just a little low there. So yeah, that's my Halo addiction just taking over and dominating. What I like to do is play it all the time. So all right, next segment here. Get ready for we did best thing on social media. And now we're moving on down the line here. We got game releases up here. Let me get game releases set up. Got the music and everything.
Release the game.
There it is.
It's time for the game releases. Game releases.
Hope the dog didn't scare your kitty cats there, Mike.
No, they're good.
Oh man. So we got some fun. I got a fun one. Let me get to it. There we go. Is it the video? Where are we at? Oh yeah, here we go. Let me bring it up. This is my game here. Is Sandland. I guess it playing here. Down. Boom.
Peggy 12.
Here we go. So it's on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and the digital S series, PS4, and PC. The developer is Ilka, if I'm saying that correctly. Bandai Namco. You know that name. It's an action game releases on Friday of this week, has a teen rating, and you are this little dude here right there playing the Game Boy. Is that a Game Boy? That's a Game Boy. And it kind of reminds me of Mad. It's a little bit. It has the look of Borderlands. If you played any of the Borderlands,
I was gonna say, yeah,
it has the look of Borderlands. So, and then you got goofy people just like that's in Borderlands. You got my man there. Join the adventure. And so this is like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Let me turn the music down a little bit. It's a little high. No, not off. Just down. There we go. All right. So you are teaming up. You got a little motley crew of folks there battling out in the deserts. And you're this little kid there, like being. I'm not sure, Dragon Ball Z looking guy or what, but he's tough. He's not gonna give up in a fight in Sandland there. So you're trying to dominate the desert with your little dude and your crew there, And so you're having fun with those guys around the desert, kicking butt and kicking tail. And you got powers, you got different areas, and it looks like I said, Borderland-esque. So you got to go there and accomplish the missions, go different places there in the game, and explore and be that destroyer, the little destroyer, a person that you are in Sandland there in that game. You think there'd be a game you play, Mike?
I actually just looked it up. I might try it. I love that art style, like that Borderlands, like kind of cartoony art style. I love it.
No, I definitely love it too. So it says Sandland is a mysterious world where demons and humans struggle to exist in a barren desert wasteland. That's what I said. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. In hopes of replenishing their water supply, the fiend Prince Beelzebub, that's who you are, Beelzebub, a demon, and then you also team up with a demon named Thief. You got a demon named Thief, that's cold-blooded right there. And then a human sheriff, Ryo, team up and embark on a journey in the search of a legendary spring of water, because water being such a commodity to survive, obviously in the desert, you need water. That makes sense. So you're trying to fight all these, and I think that was overkill. Too many missiles right there to destroy those dinosaurs. You don't need that, but okay. But you got Beelzebub, the little young guy there, little kid. You don't know. He might be older. If he's a demon, he's probably like 400 years old. PB, what you think? I know in Smite, he got some characters that are like 1,000 years old or something like that.
Like Scylla is like from the Odyssey or something. She's like a little girl, but she's thousands for sure. An understatement maybe.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, So Beelzebub, that name, like he's a demon. That's a demon name if it ain't one. Beelzebub. So that guy is probably like, I give him 1,500. That's why, and he grew to be like 4'11". That's it. That's unfortunate for him and his being of trying to be a butt kicker. Nobody's gonna take him serious. I'm like, bro, you're a little kid. I'm not scared of you. How are you gonna dominate? But he has friends. They kick tail here. All right, now head it over. Let me get ready. Oh, I don't even have something set up for this. Let me get something set up. Our next subject here. Did I have video? Oh, no, I don't. That's why. Thought I did. Let me get here. So we got quick hidden, or not quick hidden. We have what's on stream here. And what's my what's on stream, Mike, is like we were talking off channel before we got started recording. We just wrapped up Mr. and Mrs. Smith on Prime Video. So now we're falling into Shogun episodes on Hulu. Let me get my video. Thought I already had it up, but forgot. Thank God I'm not in no rush today. And I could get this done now. Just a little off. But it was a serious episode. All right. Get that going. All right, it's doing its thing. It's loading up here. But we got Shogun episode 1. It's called Ajin. So destinies converge in Japan after a barbarian ship washes ashore in a poor fishing village. Meanwhile, in Osaka, Lord Tadaranga finds himself outplayed by his enemies. And so in true fashion of, I say, Kung Fu, samurai and all Shogun stuff, they are serious. Like, there's honor, right, in the Japanese culture, and in the Chinese culture, there's by the rules, and they following that, and then it kind of gives you a rundown of it. So we're in the 1600s, and their ship that crashed is from Portuguese into the lane. They made it all the way to Japan, so they kind of got lost. They were off track, and so this Portuguese ship, the pirates, as they were called once they were found by the shogun of Japan, so actually Japanese shoguns, they didn't know like how, like they didn't know who they were, where they from, and why are you here? You're on our land, so they're ready to chop heads off with katanas and all that stuff. But they know that this guy who is the captain of the Portuguese ship, he knows his way around the water. He's giving them tips, and in the episode it shows where they're at sea, and it's like a monsoon. It's a tornado. It's a monsoon going on. And he's able to guide the ship out of the monsoon, because I guess you got to steer the ship a certain way to fight against the weather, go against the wind, and he knew it, and he saved the whole boat. And there was a few casualties, but then one of the Shogun officers realized, like, man, this guy helped us out. If it wasn't for him, we'd be all dead. And so he saved the ship. And so even himself, the one that came on board, or came from below, like when they found this ship, he's, like I say, he gets kind of indoctrined into the Shogun culture of the Japanese Shogun culture. It's like he's starting to understand that, hey, they got rules and they got regulations. It's a scene up here where the guy that you just saw there on the horses, where he was going to kill himself when he got stuck in the rocks on the shoreline. And I guess the way of the Shogun is, if you're in a position that you're most likely, you feel like you're going to die, you take your own life first. As is honorable. I'm like, man, that's gangster. I'm like, this guy right here, he got stuck between the rocks and the waves. They went to go save somebody, and he got stuck. The waves was beating him up with the rocks, and he thought he wasn't going to survive. And just before he was about to stab himself, they threw a rope over and they pulled him out of there. And that scene will pop up here in a minute. But this is one of the Shoguns, and it's a Shogun of brothers. So it's 5 brothers that are basically not getting along. In a nutshell, they're not getting along. And one brother, it's where his wife left, was found being escorted off the land for some reason. It's a lot of subtitles. I had to read all this, so sometimes I had to look at my phone because my wife was texting me, so I kind of missed some tidbits. But I think I found the gist of the show, of this episode anyway, and obviously having a description helps. So, but very, like I said, very intense and very by the book in terms of their honor of being Shogun and being kings and I say people of power positions in this episode or in this series as well. And so these are the brothers and some of their relatives that all manage the kingdom that they're living in, and how they always got to get approval before they come into someone's house or into one's land. And so you got to meet up with who the boss is of the land and say, hey, I'm going to come and stay over in this area for a little bit, just letting you know. But you got to do a ceremony, kind of like what you're seeing right here, before you march yourself with your family into their land, even though it's relative. So it's pretty serious stuff. Polar Bear. So what you think of this? What series have you gotten into if you haven't watched this one at all?
I'm kind of laughing at it because I've had a bunch of friends recommend this to me. I'm like notoriously late, excuse me, at hopping on shows. Like,
right.
I don't know if you've ever seen The Bear, but I like just recently binged.
Oh, The Bear, yeah. I've seen. I haven't watched it either. I know you're talking about.
You should check it out. It's a good show. I think they're coming out with like season 3 this summer. But yeah, you describing it, I want to watch this now. I've had so many people tell me like, "What are you doing? You got to hop on this."
Yeah, and speaking of like honorability, honorable stuff and their ways, it's a scene where JFK mentions, he says, and then you got to ask someone to cut your head off if it's a seppuku, who that seppuku is, or somebody that basically disrespects the family, they got to kill themselves. It was so like serious scenes. Then I'm like, oh my God, it was a mom that had her baby and she was about to slit her own throat because her husband disrespected another family's father or something. And I'm like, this, she about to kill herself with her baby in her hand. I'm like, they is gangster. I'm like, they are super serious about the law of the morals, right, of family and tradition. And I've always heard this, Japanese and Chinese culture, that their traditions are, you don't break them, and you got to take it serious. So if somebody got to die, they got to die. I'm like, man. I'm like, let's do that with some of the esports teams that we coach. Like, hey, if you don't do this, you cannot enable the audio or you will die. Hey, I think everybody on the team is shaping up real quick. I'll be like, hey, these are the rules. You got to use these headsets or else. Because there's always the dramatic look around the room.
I was gonna say, if you hit them with the crazy eye, there's
hit them with the crazy eye, because that's what they're doing on here too. So I like the show. I said I'm gonna get into it. I haven't watched a show with closed captions in a while. It's something my wife doesn't like, so I obviously shy away from. But I love movies with subtitles. So this is the scene where I was telling you where he was getting beat up by the short, and there's the mom. Like she was gonna slit her throat right there with her baby in her hand. That's how serious she was because of a family member disrespecting another family member. I was like, that's serious. And I think that's her husband. And he's like reacting to him being disrespected right now. And I'm just like, man, that's serious. You know, I'm like, you can't get no more serious than that where you're gonna kill somebody or take your own life just because somebody say your breath stink. That's basically how the disrespect came. It was something like that, trivial, but it's not trivial in this culture, you know. So this is where you learn. Like I'm gonna learn a whole lot from this, watching this series, because I already knew a little bit. I got friends that are Japanese and Chinese, and I've been around them, Korean, so from Singapore, stuff like that. And they talk about their ways and how tradition is first before anything else, and respect that or else. And I'm like, I'm gonna listen to that or else. I'm not. When I come in, well, what do you need me to do? I'm gonna stand on the left. Okay, I'll stand on the left. I need to bow. I will bow. No problemo. Like I gotta, you gotta respect that. So it goes through them capturing they called it the barbarian because it was all at that time, was categorized as being, people from the north were barbarians and coming down and, exploring the countrysides and the ocean sides, and that's what happened. The Portuguese, they were exploring but got lost because of I think they got attacked by pirates or something like that. That's in the early part of the show. And they got sick, the measles popped that started on the boat. And so they started to discover these lands and then getting indoctrinated with the cultures and stuff like that. And the captain of the ship, it might show it later, where he saved the ship, but he realized like what he did obviously was a good thing. But then when he saw the one shogun that was going to take his own life because he thought he was going to die, like that totally, he's like, man, he said this guy was going to kill himself because he thought he was going to die. So like that hit him so hard. It was like, this is a culture well beyond, or something that we don't do where I'm from, in Portugal, or, it was just like, eye opening for him. And obviously for me too, very cool to learn this type of, culture that's out there that existed at one time. And I'm pretty sure in some parts of Japan that is still practiced, out there. Is just, it's cool. For one, it's cool. And it just shows you that, hey, we're talking about teamwork, being accountable and all that. It's like back then it was like you had to be accountable on all aspects, or it was no joke that, you're going to come short up in either the life department or you're going to lose a limb, So show up to practice late and see what happened. This is all jokes though, people. This I'm being funny. This is all for money from my side. I'm just letting y'all know that nothing serious here. But good series. It's on Hulu. So I would say if you're into Kung Fu, being cultured, this is the show. You got subtitles there. You gotta hunker down. You can't be going to the bathroom a whole lot. Oh, what's the cat doing now? I can see the cat is doing something.
I think someone's nailing something on the wall. I just hear.
Oh, I heard the nailings. I thought the cat was running around.
Yeah,
all right.
I'm gonna knock back at him.
Oh, got you in your apartment there. So that is the series that we're on right now. Shogun episode 1, A Jin. So the Portuguese or barbarian boat has crash landed, and now the people that did survive the landing are getting indoctrinated into the Japanese shogun culture and of the ruling bodies of the land that these 4 or 5 brothers are kind of in agreement, disagreement type thing. So this is what we're doing now. We got, was it JFK? So you got to watch Fallout now. Hey, Fallout is going to be the next one that we're going to cover here. This was up on the plate. I said Shogun or Fallout to John and Rico. And they said, let's do Shogun first, and then we'll do Fallout after that. Because now She wouldn't be in summertime, so I could get really hard into that because I never played. I only played one Fallout, and it was Fallout 76. What about you, Mike? You get a chance to play in a Fallout series?
I think was it 3 maybe I played a little bit. I was always more I grew up like pretty close to Bethesda actually. So
Oh, yeah,
I was
East
more into like the Elder Scrolls series. I played a lot.
Gotcha. I played Elder Scrolls a little bit, and I did, like I said, I only did one Fallout. It was Fallout 76, and then watching a little bit of the series. I started watching that series too, not knowing that we're going to do it then. But Shogun is a good episode or a good series to watch to get into. And JFK clears up the seppuku is another word for suicide. Oh, okay. And that obviously in different cultures is frowned upon. You know, it's something, and they're banging. They're banging. I can hear them now. I was like, wait a minute, is that the cat? Well, I was like, the cat can't be that loud.
I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. What's up, Vernon Crawford says Shogun is great. Yeah, I'm super excited to watch Shogun. I like the samurai. I like the Shogun, the peasantry, because every time in the big scenes of that, if you saw them, Mike and chat, you saw when they're going into a building, when they do a scene, it's like a big dramatic scene, right? Everybody's there in their outfits, they got their headgear on, you know. And then it was one scene, it might have showed on here, but it was one scene where it was the person they were calling the Portuguese or the barbarian, the white man there, and he did see, like, he said something, and all of the Shogun officers behind him, they popped their katanas out. Like, everybody, you heard a katana like move, you're like, oh snap. They ready to slice some heads off or something. And they said they popped the katanas out, and he kind of said, he was like, oh no, I don't mean that. You know, he like, I'm sorry for yelling. He like apologized like instantly because they popped them swords out there. Look, they had it ready to go. I was like, it's about to get serious, you know. But it slowed him. He slowed down. He pumped his brakes. So I don't want to mess with any Shogun with their katana. No, not happening. JFK says Elder Scrolls 6 is the next Bethesda game. Ooh,
I've been waiting for that for
big
like
one.
a decade, man.
Oh, it's been that long? Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I think they did like an MMO. They did Elder Scrolls Online. I think they did that. And now they're working on 6. I think it was like 2026 they were hoping to release it, but yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're at the end of the show, man. So thank you for tuning in and hanging around, talking about some games and some shows that we're watching. Where is your social media? Let everybody know where they can find you on social before we jump out of here.
At PBM Smite, I do Twitch, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, and YouTube as well. Just at PBM, all uppercase, and then Smite, SMITE.
Okay.
On all my socials.
It was hard to find you. I was trying to find you the other day. So you said at PBM
Smite, yeah.
PBM.
But yeah, again, thank you for having me on. It was fun. I appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, no problem. So at PBM Smite.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's everything. That's Twitch. That's X. That's Instagram. That's why I couldn't find you. I was typing in. I typed out the whole word PolarBearMike.
Yeah.
That was the issue. I was like, man, I know he's in here somewhere, and like nowhere.
Yeah, everyone just calls me PBM or Mike. Name's too long. You know?
All right. So I'll at least put it in for Twitch here, but it's for everywhere. Oh, come on. All right. All right. There it is. Let's do this instead. Yeah, that looks good. Boom. Let's do that. We're going to scroll that thing. Just one thing. Boom. There it is. I'm on Twitch and everything else. But that's all you need. And that's smart. Continuity. Because right now I have 2. Ahman Green 30 for Instagram and X. But then TikTok, it's, you'll see here in a minute. But TikTok is Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge. Then Instagram other account is AG_Gamers Lounge. And what else do I have? And then Twitch is Ahman Green TV. And then YouTube is Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge. So I got to get some continuity there. Change it up a little bit. Or change it where everybody's the same and not have all these different names out there. So All right, Mike, man. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming in today's show and hanging out and talking with my chat and talking with myself and answering some great questions with being a SMITE player that you are and a pro that you are. So, got contact. So, any games that you want to play, please let me know. It's a gamer's lounge. I play video games too. We got to get on some Halo. I know we're talking about that a little bit off stream before we went live. So, hopefully we could do that. And I can't wait to do that. That's going to be fun with you. And what's real quick before I let you go, what's an RPG or what's your backlog look like?
What of games I want to play?
Yes, games you want to play.
There was the new. I don't have a console right now, so I think it was Horizon Zero Dawn. They had like the new one of that I got to play, and then I've never gotten to play God of War, and they recently put that on PC too. I'm so excited to play.
Oh, okay. So how far back God of War? Like just recent ones or the older ones?
Let me look. I have it in my Steam lab. It might be the most recent one, I think.
Okay, I know it was one. It was Ragnarok. Then they put out another one just last year too. So there's two of them of the newer series for PS5. So that might be on PC. It might be Ragnarok that's on PC right now. That might be it. I'm not sure, but either way, you're gonna have fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Kratos is that dude. He's that dude. So like you are at SMITE, he is in the underworld and chopping people up.
Badass, I think.
Exactly. Very good, badass. So to the chat, JFK and crew, everybody in there, average historian, thank you, Jeremy. And I didn't see the Bear fan or EO or Keto, but I'm assuming they were there. So everyone, hello. I hope you had a great time watching the stream, and everybody else from all the Facebook, the Instagram, the LinkedIn, the YouTube, the Twitch, and the X. Hope you enjoy the show. We'll be back here, same bat channel, same bat time. And if everybody wants to play a game, just drop in the Discord. I know the Discord links have been popping in throughout the day. Join me. I like to play games. I got a light weekend this weekend. So if you send a message, get up in the Discord, send me a message. Ask me about playing some Halo or Madden or even a game you want to play. Let me know. I'm a gamer. I got to try. I got to do stuff. I like playing new games, just so you know. That's one thing. So I think that makes me fun, right? Mike makes you fun. So hope you have a great rest of your day, Mike and chat, and everybody else tuning in. And like I said, see you next week, next Wednesday, same bat channel, same bat time, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time for Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge. All right, peace. Let me get all this stuff off the screen now. Let's go here. Boom, that's one. In here, we got this right here. We got the little ending stream. There's that go, and then we got music. All right, music. Here we go.